Alright, so here's the process of a little piece I did on my wife. Just so you know, I've been forced to do this piece on her beautiful leg and I disagreed since the beginning.
Pickle!
I'm a victim of her slavery and I had no choice but to tattoo this Dill Pickle or I would have seen the worst side of humankind. This was my reference image. This was my color palette. So I started with the lining to get these out of the way since I'm not the best at it. Most of my work is portrait and color realism. I rarely have to build bold line work. I used a 9-round shader and went on with it slowly and carefully to have consistent lines. Once done, I wanted my lining to be thicker, so I doubled every lines. With all the lining done, I jumped to the foundation of the piece by adding my blacks and my darker tones first, using a 7 mag and a 9 mag. These tones are going to be the structure of my piece, so I need them to be solid and accurate. I'm working carefully to reproduce the feel of the reference, but not trying to make it 100% perfect. To make a realistic tattoo last in time, some areas needs to be simplified to prevent the aging process from damaging the piece. Some details decision needs to be taken to avoid having a good looking fresh tattoo that's gonna look like shit when it's healed. I use black as much as I possibly can because this color holds in the skin extremely well and it must be used as the foundation of a well-contrasted tattoo. If I'd be doing an oil painting, my thought process about using darks and blacks would have been completely different. But for a tattoo, black ink is my most important color. I add all of my darks and I carefully leave some empty spaces for the highlights that's gonna come later. I purposely exaggerate the bluish tones of the lower part of the pickle to have a noticeable contrast between my warm tones and my cooler tones. This way, I'll be sure to have well-balanced dynamics and not a dull-looking piece. I try to be very gentle on the skin to make the less damage possible, so it's easy to go over and add some color layers on top of what I did before. Layers are a great way to achieve a realistic piece, but to do this technique, you need to run your machine very softly and carefully. My thinking process is value first. What is the right color value I need for a certain area? I analyze my reference picture, I make a conscious decision for the longevity of my tattoo, I mix the color to have the right value, and I apply. Then, I think about the shape. What shape and what direction I need to take to apply my ink and get the most out of this pass, to create less possible damage and so everything blends all together. My last step is details and edges. I want everything that's going to be in the focal point of my design to have different variation of hard edges. I need the rest of the piece that is out of focus to have a different variation of diffused or soft edges. So my main focus is sharp and detailed, and we don't get lost into an over-detailed piece. This thought process can be extremely literal for a whole piece and sometimes very specific to a certain area. With practice, these steps tend to overlap each other and then create a piece that looks consistent and effortless.